craft beer scene in Australia started in WA. That was about 25 years ago. They were all over it. Then you had companies like Little Creatures come on board, and Matilda Bay really started everything going over there. Then Melbourne became the big scene. Everyone really embraces things that are local and new, and so they were built 10 years ago. It was all about Melbourne. And then really the excitement about craft beer in Sydney's been really growing over, say 5 years. We've been so lucky. The support from our locals is phenomenal. We really want to be that beer that is everyone's go-to beer, not just your special occasion beer. We get what that's all about as well, big flavours and unique sort of twists on beers are fun. But we want to just create beer that people just drink. It doesn't have to be the focal point, it's just there. And they're not having, you know, the typical mainstream kind of things all the time. They might try ours and stick to that as well. Basically, beer is made up of malt, hops, yeast and water. This is all the grain that we start with, usually barley, so come and check out in here. This is all the barley or the malt that gets crunched up and then steeped into water. So this is the first part of the process. All the grain gets up into here, goes into here, fills up with water, and you can smell kind of a wheat bixie kind of smell. And basically that's mashing in all the malt and the water, turns it into kind of a porridgey consistency. Then what it does is it goes through here, gets pounded up, and you're extracting all the goodness out of it, all the liquid. Once it's done that, it comes through into here and boils right up. So that'll bubble up and start creating all the beautiful flavours. Once it's done that, beautiful, comes in there and just soaks in there for a while. At this point here where you start adding your hops, hops add bitterness. You got your sweetness from the malt, now you need bitterness to balance it right out. Now this process takes a few hours, and then we go into the next room where the fermentation starts. Let's go into there. So the unfermented beer or the wort gets transferred into one of these bad boys. So these are fermentation tanks. Once it's in here, you add the yeast. The yeast is what creates bubbles and alcohol, creates the fermentation. It bubbles it right up, and you'll see on the bucket through here, that's when you can tell that it's fermenting. Because the offshoot of yeast eating the sugars is bubbles and alcohol. So that's the bubbles. Once it's finished doing its business, it takes about 5 to 7 days. You chill it right down, and then the yeast goes to sleep and drops down and ends up in there. Once you've done that, you whack a hose onto there and transfer the beer into these bright tanks. You then attach the CO2 and it basically puts bubbles into the beer. Once that's done, the guys come and grab their kegs here and fill them all up. And then it gets transferred across the road there, and the delivery drivers come and pick it up.